Welcome to Binge Watchers, where we talk about the stories and characters we love and the shows they live in. My name is Ron, and I suggest that we all just take a moment, take a breath, maybe make ourselves a cup of some delicious coffee, and, you know, take a moment to just talk about what we've been watching and reading this past week. I'm gonna turn this way now so you could actually see who it is that's talking. I just wanted to show off that this place actually has a pretty nice view. So a few weeks ago I was on a business trip to Vegas, and I took the camera with me because I knew I was gonna watch some Netflix on the plane, and I knew that I was gonna want to talk about it once I got to the hotel room. And I also knew that because I hate Vegas, I was gonna try and spend as much time as I can in my hotel room. And now it's not that I'm not grateful for the opportunities that I get from work to travel, because I am. It's really cool, and I had a good time in Vegas. I spent most of it at the conference I was at, and getting to meet up with folks that I don't usually get to meet up in my day-to-day work. But just Vegas specifically is, like, I'm so not the target audience for Vegas that it's crazy. I don't think it's a good place. I don't like it. But I did spend some time on the plane ride to Vegas watching season 2 of Mindhunter, and I did record myself talking about that for a little bit, so here's that. This is definitely the nicest hotel room that I've ever even been in, like let alone stayed in. So I just got off a 15-hour flight from Israel through San Francisco. Now I'm in Vegas. Watched a few episodes of Mindhunter season 2 on the flight, and I absolutely loved it. It's at the risk right now of just feeling like more of the same, but you know, the same is really, really good. So far they're still just doing the same types of interviewing with all these serial killers, and it's still fascinating. It hasn't lost any of its charm for me. When I watched season 1 of Mindhunter, so, I mean, the thing that bothered me about it at first was just the way that they handled dialogue, because the David Fincher way of doing dialogue is not very realistic. It all feels very rehearsed. But then once you get used to it, it becomes like part of the appeal of the show. And here, because I was ready for it, I just loved it from the word go. The way the dialogue works in this show, it's just like no one talks like that, but it's fine because it just works so well for this show. Now I'm actually like one episode away from finishing the season. I have a lot to say about it. I plan on making like a spoiler talk video, but just to keep this spoiler free, season 2 is very, very good. It is a bit more of the same. I mean, the same stuff that made season 1 very strong, all of that is still very much in here. The first half of the season is pretty much a direct continuation of season 1, where, you know, they're doing interviews, they're doing the same type of thing that they do. There is a little bit of going into some of the characters, which I really, really liked. Actually, I would have liked to see more of Wendy in this season. They also go pretty deep into Bill Tench's character, which is probably my favorite character in the show, so I like that. And the second half of the season is actually them applying everything that they've learned into one specific case, which everything, you know, on paper I really liked, but the whole season has a bit of like an all over the place nature to it. So I felt that they could kind of tightened up a little bit, and some of the side stories or some of the interviews were kind of not crucial for the story. Since this is a pretty short season, it's a 9-episode season. You know me, I don't like long seasons. I like that it's a short season, but I felt that they could have used some of that time better. Still a very good season, though. And just if you'll indulge me as I talk about something a little bit different for a little bit, I listen to a lot of audiobooks. Like, I listen to audiobooks all the time, every day, when I'm driving to work, when I'm driving back to work, sometimes when I'm walking over to get the girls from kindergarten. Like, I listen to a lot of audiobooks all the time. And I also do this thing where I buy the books that I really like. I also buy them on, you know, like paperback and then I try to sync what I read with the audiobooks. And Michael Kramer, the guy who does the narration for pretty much all of the Brandon Sanderson book, of which I read most of them. I read all of the Mistborns, all of the Stormlights that are out, and I read Warbreaker and like a couple of novellas as well. And so when I started to get into the Wheel of Time, I saw that it's the same guy. Michael Kramer also does the Wheel of Time. And if you add up all of the hours, like these guys write long books. Each and every one of these books is like anywhere between 26, 30 to like 50 hours of audiobooks. Michael Kramer lives inside my head now. I can hear him narrating my thoughts. And it's wonderful. Okay, let's get back to what this channel is originally about. TV shows. I've been watching quite a few things lately, but the ones that I want to talk about other than Mindhunter are The Dark Crystal and The Spy. So let's start with The Dark Crystal. I watched 2 or 3 episodes. I'm really struggling with it. I know some of you are as well. We talked about this a little bit on the Discord server. I mean, it's a beautiful, beautiful show. They did everything so well in terms of art direction. Everything looks so beautiful and handcrafted. And it's just like the craftsmanship that went into this is absolutely amazing, but it kind of feels like that's where it stops. The plot is convoluted and unclear, the voice acting is like, and the episodes are so incredibly long and they don't feel like they need to be. It feels like if this had, you know, 25 to 30 minutes per episode, that would have been enough. It just feels like the main thing that this show is going after is look how amazing this looks, which I'll give them that. It looks absolutely amazing. Everybody involved with the production of this show, just like you are the most talented people in existence. But the show itself, as a story, I'm just not connecting with it. And the puppets that they use for the characters, I mean, all of those are really, really good. I think that after so many years of being so used to CG in everything, it's a bit jarring at first, so it takes you an episode to kind of get used to them. They are very well done. I mean, during like the action scenes, I can't help but think about Team America, but you know, this is what they're going for, so it's cool. But for now, I'm more watching this show just to marvel at like, wow, this must have been so difficult to pull off, and so many talented people were a part of, you know, how good this show looks. But, you know, like, the story's not really doing it for me. Let me know in the comments if you watched the whole thing and if you think that I should watch the whole thing as well. I will make an open season video kind of going more in depth into these thoughts. And finally, I want to talk about The Spy. It's the new Netflix original starring Sacha Baron Cohen, the guy who did Borat. He plays Eli Cohen, who was a famous Mossad spy who went undercover in Syria. Now, as many of you already know, I'm Israeli. I'm from Israel. I live in Israel. That's where I am right now. So it's definitely cool for me to see this type of show. Also, it has a lot of Israeli actors in it and a lot of American actors trying to do an Israeli accent. And that's actually the weird thing for me about watching this show, because it's very common for shows in English, like the show's going to be in English because they want to appeal to a wider audience, which is totally understandable. But if the characters are supposed to be talking like Russian or German or any other language, instead of talking in that language, they will just talk in the accent of that language. And when they do that for a language you don't speak, it's kind of fine. Like the suspension of disbelief just allows you to say like, okay, like I get it, it's fine. I remember one movie doing this particularly well, which was the Tom Cruise movie about Operation Valkyrie, which started out with him speaking German and then kind of like transitioned into him speaking English, and then they just all spoke English in an American accent, I think, because the movie established it first, like this is supposed to be German, but it's English, you know? And here with The Spy, I only watched a couple of episodes of it. Everything is really well done. It's, you know, how Israel and Tel Aviv and everything looked back then. All of that, even like the color correction makes it look like all of the old photos. The only really kind of jarring and weird thing for me is to hear everybody speak English with such a heavy Israeli accent. It was the same reason that it was really weird to see Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman. If you're not from Israel, it must sound like just an exotic accent that maybe this person who lives on this like semi-Greek whatever island would have, but because I recognized it as just an Israeli accent, then it was weird. It's this accent. When you talk like this, I can also talk in an Israeli accent. But this is weird for me to do because I am so used to talking in an American accent. I don't know why. It is just how I always talked. But anyway, the show itself so far is really good, and Sacha Baron Cohen is really good in it. So I'm really excited to finish it. It's a short, limited series. Just I think it's like 6 episodes or maybe 8. I don't remember. But so far I'm really excited about it, and I'm also excited to get to the backlog of other shows that I really want to watch. And finally, maybe I'll just talk like briefly about what I'm reading, because like why pretend at this point that this video has any focus? Well, you know, I've been reading The Wheel of Time, so book 2, The Great Hunt, book 2 of The Wheel of Time. It's so good. I'm loving this, and I love how you can see where Brandon Sanderson got a lot of his influences. So reading that, I am thinking like, I know this is like a 14-book series, so I do have the kind of like, what did I just get myself into type of thing, but you know, we'll power through it, and like 15 years from now, I'll finish it. And the other thing I've been reading multiple times a day, very recommended, Giraffes Can't Dance. Touching story, great stuff, powerful stuff. I love it so much that I read it at least once a day, cover to cover. As far as what I think I'll be watching next, then probably Carnival Row on Amazon Prime. But let me know in the comments if there's anything specific you think you want me to check out. Anything specific you think you're going to be watching? Why are you grabbing my shirt like you're going to beat me up?